morning. Well, today we're just looking at a bit of porcelain paving and 10 top tips to help you improve your paving, or just to help you if you're starting out not to make some mistakes. So let's get stuck in and let's get going. Tip number one. Porcelain slabs. Get yourself a piece of plywood or something, put some sand on the ground and put the plywood on top, and then cut on top of that. The reason for that is you're less likely to break any slab because the sand absorbs a lot of the vibration. So it's really worth doing, you know, even if you save one or two. Well, these are about 30-40 pounds a shot. You don't want to be breaking many of them. So we're just finishing off, and one of the key things with porcelain, of course, you need a bucket of soapy water as you're going along to clean your slabs, and then, you know, keep going over them to keep them clean, because as you can see they do mark very easily, and so, you know, regularly just going over them, keep them clean just like you would if you were tiling, and just over the whole area, and that will stop that kind of, when it dries out, you're getting these sort of marks in the future, especially where you've got the SBR glue, because that will permanently stain your slabs. So you've got to keep that off your slabs, and obviously remember not to paint right to the edges of your slab, because you put your fingers around to pick it up and you get it on your fingers, and you've got to put them on the slab and it marks them. Just a couple of little things when you're laying porcelain paving. So if you look closely at the slab, you can see that there's a little arrow. You can see it there in the middle, and you want to make sure that the arrow is all running the same way on all your slabs to get the pattern running nicely. So I'm just slurrying up the back, and you don't want to do this too early, because if you do it too early the slurry will go off. So it's got to be pretty much ready to lay your slab before you put your SBR and cement mix. Usually 1-to-1 is a good mixture for this. Then the next thing I've got is a board. What you can do is cut yourself a board roughly about the size of your slab. It's got to be the same thickness though, that's the key. So these are 20mm, okay. And so what I'm going to do now with my board is just have a look at it and see if it's roughly right. So by putting my board in place, you can see here, if I press in, that's going to be a bit too low. That's going to be a bit, that's not far off, about right actually, about a couple of mil higher. But I will need a little bit more under there. So before I lay the slab, what I'm going to do is just pop a little bit more around here, just to build that up a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit more in that corner as well, just to build that. So the mix is a 5-to-1 wash sand cement mix for porcelain. So just put that in there. Bring that round, try and level up as best you can. You can either drag it that way or use the back of the trowel, whichever you prefer, and push it into the corners. Otherwise you're going to use a lot of grout when you're grouting. Tiny bit shy there, just do that. Just run the trowel around the edge like that, keep it away. Now we'll try the slab. It's pointing down, so rather than all this way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that over. There are different ways of laying it, but what you can do, I use my steel toe cap very often, put it on there, and what I'm going to do is grab it there and then flip it up. That there. Needs a tap down this end, but it's nearly right. So we'll just give that a bit of a tap in. Some people prefer a rubber mallet. You can use a rubber mallet if you prefer. I like something with a bit more weight on it, just so you can knock it down. And you want to be knocking it down a little bit into the mix, so you've got a good bond to before. And what we'll do is put the spacers in. So some 5mm spacers are pretty good. Just pop them in there. Just ease that back a little bit. Put the spacers in. Ease that back down a bit. Pop in there. Pop one in there. And we've had some tricky things to negotiate here because we've got the metal cuts down quite low. So we're trying to make sure we can get the slab running through. It's very close actually. So that's a little bit awkward trying to run things in sometimes. So we're just laying this circular kit, and what we did was we laid them out dry first, and now I'm just putting them down and making sure that they blend in with the outer circle. There's a lot of variability in these kits, so you have to, you know, sometimes there's a bit of laminate missing and different things, and you have to try and work it in. So I'm just going to get that outer circle in, and that one should be key, that you use spacers when you are setting out to keep your lines running nice and even. So what we've been doing today is making a set of steps out of the porcelain Maharaja. We had obviously a piece of string set up on the center line to get us going on that one. It's just come loose now, we just moved it over. We used that mappe there at the back, you can see that for the risers. We used SBR to just sort of coat all the concrete that we'd cast earlier, and once that had gone tacky, we for the risers we put the mappe on the back. We used a 5mm notch spreader. Well, this will actually do up to 10mm, as you can see there on the end. I'll just scrape that off a bit. So you can see it's pretty big notches on that, so you can get a good, you do need that when you're doing a rough concrete, you do need that when you're building onto rough concrete, sort of casted foundation. There we go. So that was troweled onto the back, and then for the tops, for the treads, we've put them on just a 5:1 wash sand cement. We've coated the backs of the slabs. We're using a slurry. You can see over here there's a slurry mix. 1 part SBR to cement and paint the backs of the slabs, and then obviously we just got to spread that out now, get that all nice and even, and then we can get the last 2 on. Quite a tricky job. Quite a lot to get, you know, quite a lot of things to sort of just get it right, but it is doable. So you can see here, if you look along, you can see the pattern running through. Looks like a little river running through there. It's a bit of a mix up. It's just gone a little bit dry. Just mix that up a little bit. Something like Mr. Whippy, or just a little bit. Oops. A little bit less than sort of a Mr. Whippy would do it, and we'll just spread that around. And what you're doing is you're aiming for really about 3 or 4mm, knocking them down maybe 3 or 4mm, even 2mm if you want to. So we'll just pull that in. So with these you always do a full bed, because it's like a tile, you haven't got any weak points in underneath it, and it fills all the joints, so when you do your grouting, all nice and full, and all the grout isn't going to disappear underneath the slab. So we'll try it at that. Once you still take up, so I should do it that way. You can put it on that way, and then you do have to take the weight just for a fraction of time and just sit it on there. Now I can, so if I want, I can pop my spacer in. One there. Ease that up a little bit. One there. One there. And then we just got to take that down. You can see that it's pretty close there. So I've just got it to extra whippy. You know, it just gives a little bit more. Right, I think we're about there. It's a bit excessive hitting there. Hope you enjoyed getting a few tips on porcelain paving, and hope that it all works out well for you. So we'll see you next time.